MACRA is coming, and it brings with it sweeping change for healthcare providers. The new regulations are especially worrisome for those who may not be ready when implementation hits. Experts are speaking out on what these changes really mean for providers and how best to prepare.
Legislation always gives us an opportunity to make historic shifts in the healthcare system and on our programs.
We need to fix the problems and go forward.
The Affordable Care Act has its flaws like every other bill, every other law, but the fact is that there's nothing else to replace it with, and people need it in order to survive.
Senator Susan Collins' office here in Portland, Maine isn't the only one that's going to be seeing an uptick in visitors. Activists say they have more than 75 speakouts or protests planned this week as members of Congress return to their home districts for the recess. Thank you, Kate. We're here at the Intelligent Health Pavilion with David Metcalf. Now, David, you actually run a technology lab at the University of Central Florida. So tell me a little bit about that first.
Sure, yeah. So I run the Mixed Emerging Technology Integration Lab, which is part of the Institute for Simulation and Training.
Also, one last thing, seems like an obvious question, but super excited to be here at HIMSS 19.
I am always excited to be here at HIMSS too, with you guys too. It is the event for healthcare and technology too, and I can't wait to see what's going on throughout the conference and on the show floor and in the sessions.
All right, well, David, thank you so much for your time and your insight. We really appreciate it. Kate, we're going to send it back to you.
This is CBS 13 News at 11.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Beth Jones. Rain is heading our way, and it could disrupt some weekend plans. Let's get right to your forecast here.
We're actually going to see some sunny skies to start out the week, and I'll have all the details on that coming up.
Can't get enough of those sunny skies.
I know, we'll take them.
That is for sure. Tonight, hours and hours after these early morning fires broke out, you can actually still smell smoke in the air. Good evening, I'm Beth Jones. Foley was kidnapped in 2012 while covering the Syrian uprising. The Islamic State posted a video last week showing his execution, saying it was retaliation for U.S. airstrikes in northern Iraq. And the British ambassador to the U.S. says by using voice recognition technology, they are closing in on identifying the militant who killed Foley in the video posted last week. Healthcare crisis in Maine. Supporters say they want universal health care for all Mainers. Fox 23's Katie Sampson tells us how this is the start of a larger movement for change. Just starting off with the basic step here. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So it's a 3-part step. That's a crossbody and a single turn. We'll talk about an early Christmas. A pair of New Hampshire grandparents are $2.4 million richer tonight. The Chester couple hit the jackpot at a notoriously stubborn MGM Grand slot machine in Vegas. That's really going to tell the tale as to just how intense this gets and how much flooding we see. Again, high tide. Woo! Oh, I've been waiting for that all morning. All morning. Good times. But yeah, you can see some pretty intense action out here. We're live in Camp Ellis, a very soaked Beth Jones, News 13.
Oh,
back to you.
I try to keep it together around people, but when I'm home alone, it's horrible.
Trevor Mill's mother, Eleanor, was among numerous friends and family members who stood up in court today to ask for justice for her slain son and Renee Sandora. Their convicted killer, Joel Hayden, just feet away. They described agonizing grief, nightmares, anger, and all asked that Hayden get the maximum sentence.
He deserves nothing less than life, and I hope he lives out the rest of his miserable days caged up like the animal that he is.
The court imposes the following sentence.
The judge handed Hayden 2 life sentences, one for each life he took on that day back in July of 2011, when Hayden shot Mills and Sandora outside her home in New Gloucester, a crime for which Judge Mills says Hayden showed no remorse. On his way out of court, Hayden had this to say.
You'll pray for me like I pray for y'all every day, all right?
The peaceful spirit will get him further than just fighting this thing. It's over.
For the parents of Renee Sandora, their focus now is raising their 4 grandchildren, one of whom testified against their father. They say there is no real closure. They will never see their daughter again, nor will her children grow up with their mother.
Well, we keep a picture of their mother in all the kids' bedrooms so that they'll know her. And when the time comes, we'll just tell her what happened, tell the kids what happened, and go from there.
Today, though, their message was for all those out there who are trapped in the same cycle of abuse that cost their daughter her life.
If people can get away from them, far away, that's probably the only thing that will work, because they always come back.
In addition to serving life in prison, Joel Hayden has been ordered to pay almost $20,000 to a victim's compensation fund. His attorney tells us they plan to appeal this sentence. In Portland, Beth Jones, News 13. Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel joined with the entire country today in mourning what he calls the savage execution of journalist James Foley. But he also defended the failed operation earlier this summer that was supposed to bring Foley and the other hostages home, but didn't.
This operation, by the way, was a flawless operation, but the hostages were not there.
Foley's parents spoke to the media the day the video showing their son's brutal murder was deemed authentic. As they mourn, their thoughts are also with the Americans still in captivity, fellow Americans who at one point found comfort in Foley's unique spirit.
There were so many stories the freed hostages have told us about his humor and his love and his just the way to give each other comfort and joy, even in the midst of that horrible situation.
We do not make concessions to terrorists.
At one point, ISIL demanded more than $100 million for Foley's release. And through the statement they forced Foley to read before his beheading, made it clear that the fate of at least one other journalist, Steven Sotloff, hinges on the U.S. campaign in Iraq stopping. Today, the Obama administration is taking a hard line on both.
We believe that paying ransoms or making concessions would both put all Americans overseas at greater risk for kidnapping and in harm's way.
The United States and the international community will increase support for Iraq in tandem with political progress.
In the meantime, James Foley's parents have spoken to President Obama.
We beg that they might consider other ways of dealing such that Stephen and the others might be spared.
They are praying for unity and peace.
Let's come together as a country, please. Don't criticize one another. Jim was a great American, and he believed in the very best of our country.
Well, many around the world are reaching out to support the Foley family. That now includes Pope Francis. John and Diane Foley received a phone call from the Pope today. A Vatican spokesperson says he reached out to offer his condolences and to assure the family he was praying for them. In the studio, Beth Jones, CBS 13 News. Greg and Adrian, back to you.